Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining today's Live Better webinar, Reduce Your Risk of Cancer, a well-rounded guide to lead you through positive lifestyle changes that will lower your chances of developing cancer. So a quick call out here. This is our final Live Better series presentation. So we have gone through 8 previous to today, and now we are wrapping up with our Reduce Your Risk of Cancer presentation. So first and foremost, it has been an incredible opportunity to present all the different topics to a variety of folks that have joined throughout the country and the world, and really appreciate you taking the time to work to become the healthiest and best version of yourself. So thank you, everybody. So today, before we dive in here, it's important for us to understand that we all have heard the phrase cancer, and we all know that cancer has affected so many people in our life. But oftentimes we don't really know exactly what cancer is, and we don't know what we can do to prevent it or to treat it, other than the traditional way of, okay, get a screening, go to the oncologist, and all of a sudden you become a patient where the focus is on chemo, radiation, and surgery. Oftentimes they do not discuss the cause of the cancer, which is a missed opportunity, and it's unfortunate. You know, if you had a plumber come to your house and you said, okay, well, what's causing, well, for example, he says, oh, there's a leak. And he says, okay, I'll fix the leak. Okay, well, that's great. Fix the leak, fix where the water is coming out of the pipe. But the question that you should ask and that he should share is, this is the cause of your issue. You know, you need to do this and you need to do that, and you can do this a little bit better, and really getting at what's going to help prevent that from happening again. Oftentimes in our modern medical world today, that conversation does not happen. Now, I'm not knocking the fact that our medical world does a lot of great things. They do a really good job at, especially acute care. They do a really good job of keeping people or helping people that have an acute issue and really helping them stay alive and fight through it. However, our current medical approach nowadays is very poor when it comes to lifestyle and chronic related diseases, those ongoing health problems that really are devastating to our country. If you think about it, from overweight to diabetes to cardiovascular disease to cancer, if you look at the 50-year trends of all these primary health concerns, they've skyrocketed. And so you might think, well, you know, it's genetic. Not quite. You know, let's just say genetics are 5 to 10% of your risk. It's important to understand if you have a family history and you have some certain predisposition. But what's most important is what you do with your day-to-day lifestyle. So let's dive in here today to really kind of dive in and look at cancer and what we can do. Quick quote here from T. Colin Campbell, author of the China study. He actually started his research trying to figure out how they could feed the world with dairy proteins. And he stumbled upon, through his research and through his practice, to really understand, wow, that animal proteins were the primary carcinogen. So a carcinogen is a cancer-causing compound. And so what we have to understand here is his quote, no chemical carcinogen is nearly so important in causing human cancer as animal protein. So you might think that and think, wow, are you serious? Animal protein like chicken, cheese, fish, beef, pork, eggs? And the answer is yeah. Unfortunately, they found that when, well, not unfortunately, fortunately, when they did the China study, it was a long study of cancer throughout all the different regions of China. And one of their leaders had died of cancer, and they dedicated years and years to research cancer and to get to know more. And the summary of their research is basically, the more animal protein and animal foods you consume, the higher risk of cardiovascular disease, cancer, and many non-communicable diseases. The less you had of those animal products, the longer, healthier lives you lived. All right, so again, like we like to do with every presentation, really focus on, why do you want to be healthy? So think in your life, you know, we all, I can say that I'm willing to bet that we all would like to be healthy or healthier. But why? Why do you want to be healthier? So for example, for me, I want to be healthier so I can lead by example. I want to be that leader in, as a health professional, a health educator, but I also want to I want to be a positive influence for my family. And I want to encourage my kids and family members to really improve their life. So like, what is it for you? Why do you want to live healthier? All right. And then another thing to put in perspective before we dive in here today are, what are 3 things that you know you need to change? What are some things that you're like, yeah, I know I need to lose weight. I know I should be more active. I know I should stop eating candy. I know I should not let my stress take too much of a hold of my life. I know I should get more sleep. What is it? What are some things that come to mind? And you might be able to kind of build off those as we move through today's presentation. But what are the things that you know you need to change? All right, so here's the good news. And this is one of my missions as a health professional, is to give people hope and encouragement that you can improve. You absolutely can improve your health and your life. So lifestyle is a game changer. And it really comes down to 6 core areas: improving your sleep, eating well, moving more, stressing less, cultivating relationships, and avoiding risky substances. So it's important to understand that there's a dynamic relation, and they're all interrelated. So when we think of, did we get enough sleep? Oh, well, if we didn't, that can affect our nutrition and our activity, and it absolutely can affect how we manage our stressors and how our relationships are. If we are moving more, that might encourage us to eat better, and we're going to be more tired and want to get to bed early enough and get more sleep. Therefore, you're waking up the next day more refueled and recharged for the next day. So they're all interrelated. And it's important for us to understand that when we focus on these 6 core areas, the majority, statistics range from anywhere from 75% to 90% of chronic diseases can be prevented, treated, and reversed through these 6 core lifestyle areas. So today we're going to focus primarily on just eating well and moving more as it relates to cancer. All right. So when we think about cancer, oftentimes we often refer to it as like the C word, like, oh, cancer. And we know it's devastating. We know that it's affected a lot of you, maybe even listening. You may have had cancer in your past. You may have had family, friends, loved ones in your life. But it's important for us to understand that cancer is an uncontrolled growth and spread of unhealthy cells within our body. So it's important for us to understand that our body is made up of cells. But what we have to understand here is sometimes there is a challenge in the cellular development that basically is not the way it should be. And so what happens are these unhealthy cells that are created, and it could be a chemical response. It could be the initiation of an unhealthy cell. And I'll talk a little bit about that. And T. Colin Campbell does a lot of research on initiation, promotion, and progression of cancer. Basically, cancer at its first, creation, those cancer cells, that is called initiation. And the promotion is essentially like where we feed the fire. We help it grow. And then progression is where it spreads throughout the body. So what we need to understand is, how can we minimize initiation? But really important is, how can we stop the promotion and prevent and stop the progression? So we want to really focus on stopping the promotion. We want to stop pouring gas on the fire, and we want to stop leaving a trail to where that gas can then spread throughout our body. Well, gas but fire. All right, so the most known causes of cancer are tobacco use, poor nutrition, obesity, physical inactivity, stress, inflammation, drugs, alcohol, excessive sun exposure, environmental risks, infectious diseases, as well as other chemical carcinogens. So you might think, oh my gosh, so basically everything causes cancer? And the answer is not quite. But looking at this list, you might think, well, what the heck? I can't do all these things. So what you need to do is first reflect on what your current lifestyle is. What are you doing on a day-to-day basis? And as we go through today, I want you to be mindful of what improvements and changes can you make to help reduce your risk. At a given point in our life, there's risks that come with life. You cannot minimize all risks. You cannot avoid every single risk in life. You might think, all right, well, I'm just going to stay home and I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to take any risks. there's risks in doing things and not doing things. So it's important for us to understand, live your best life, but focus on creating a lifestyle that can help you reduce the risk of cancer. So everything we're going to talk about today not only can help you prevent, treat, and reverse cancer, but it also can help you minimize and reduce your risk of heart disease, diabetes, and a whole range of other health problems as well. All right. So, what I want you to really take away from today is that there are many factors that influence our cancer risk. Some of them we cannot control, but the majority of them we can control. And that's where we want to focus our efforts, is what can we control? If we cannot control something, we have to accept and positively cope. If we can control, our responsibility is to take action. That is what we are being called to do. It is a call to action for all of us to take action, learn from the people who are doing things well, and learn from the things that other people have done and have struggled. You don't have to be the car crash to understand that you shouldn't text and drive. You can learn from others' examples and say, I want to change my life, and I want to prevent these things from happening in the future. All right. So worldwide, 1 in 6 deaths are due to cancer each year. Every single year, 1 in 6 deaths are related to cancer. Okay. So what we want to take a quick pause here, and I'm going to be sharing a lot of information and research from the American Institute for Cancer Research. So their website is aicr.org. And they have an incredible body of research that basically goes through and shares what is the science, what is the research, what is the practice showing us to prevent, treat, and reverse cancer through our lifestyle. All right. So it's important for us to understand that the choices that we make every single day can absolutely reduce our risk. So they have a cancer check. So here's the link, aicr.org/cancer-health-check. If you go there, you can take the quick assessment and evaluate your current lifestyle and look for opportunities to improve. I would highly recommend you take a few moments to do this, to really understand where you are, how you're doing. But not only that, again, what are some opportunities for you as you move forward? All right. So let's put in our conscious mind, why do you want to reduce your risk of cancer? Just think about that for a minute. Why do you want to reduce your risk of cancer? Is it so you can live a long, healthy life? Is it so you can be around for many, many years? Is it so that you don't have the fear and worry of cancer or a cancer diagnosis coming your way? What's your why? Why do you want to reduce your risk? All right. So when we look at the AICR.org, the American Institute for Cancer Research, they have the following recommendations. So they have 10 recommendations for us to follow to significantly reduce our risks of cancer. And the first thing is to be a healthy weight. And we're going to dive more into that today. We are going to dive into healthy weight, being physically active, and eating well. Those are the 3 areas that we're going to talk about today. I want to encourage you to figure out some steps that you're going to take, to really make today's webinar a little bit more actionable for you in your life. So the first thing is to be a healthy weight. The second is to be physically active. The third is to eat a diet rich in whole grains, vegetables, fruits, and beans. The fourth is to limit your consumption of fast foods. We often give them that label. It's not about the time that it takes to prepare, but it's essentially that those fast foods are those that are typically most unhealthy, as well as other processed foods that are high in fat, starches, and sugars. We also want to limit our consumption of red and processed meat. And I would add, in addition to that, there's more and more research showing that you absolutely want to avoid dairy proteins as well as eggs and other meats as well. We also want to limit our consumption of sugar-sweetened drinks. We want to avoid and understand that alcohol is a carcinogen. And whether it's 1 glass of wine or 6-pack of beer, it's important for us to understand that it has a carcinogenic response within our body. Do not use supplements for cancer prevention. Oftentimes throughout the years, there's been a lot of times where people try to fix poor nutrition with supplementation. And by doing so, you are playing with these foods and you're giving yourself extremely high amounts and doses of certain things that have been proven to cause a lot of risk. So Focus on nutrition first and then supplement only where needed to really help yourself out. So for example, you might say, all right, well, during the winter, I'm not getting enough sun. I'm getting a little bit of vitamin D through fortified foods. Let me take a supplement for vitamin D, or let me take my ongoing B12. You want to supplement only where needed. And then for mothers, it's really important for your breast cancer risk in the future. And it's good for both you and the baby to breastfeed after childbirth. And then lastly, avoiding tobacco and excess sun exposure. And this is not just from the sun, but this is also from tanning services as well. All right, so let's dive into eating well. So eating well, and I love this phrase, eating well, because oftentimes when you ask somebody, do you eat healthy? You get a couple of responses. Some people say, yeah, I eat pretty healthy. Yeah, we eat pretty healthy. And then the other half of the people say, no. Well, not even the other half. I'd say it's like 10%, 15% of people are like, yeah, no, I eat horrible. I don't eat good. I eat whatever I want, whenever I want, and I don't care about eating color. I just do it. And then there's some people that say, yeah, I do pretty decent. I do this, I do this. But it's really important to think eating well is eating foods and beverages that add value to human health. That's the way I want you to think of eating well. Eating and drinking foods and beverages that add value to human health, things that are good for you. That is what eating well is. So we want to maximize the healthy things and we want to minimize the unhealthy things. So first and foremost, we want to eat a diet rich in what the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine calls the power plate, which is whole grains, vegetables, fruits, and beans. So when you think of beans, also think of legumes, beans, peas, and lentils. All right. So if you were to divide your plate into those four foods, you would say, all right, quarter whole grains, quarter legumes or beans, quarter vegetables, and a quarter fruit. That is essentially how you build a healthy plate. Even if you decide to have, animal products, make them less of your diet. Focus on eating the majority of your calories in food from these food sources. We also want to limit the consumption of our fast foods and other, high fat, high starch, high sugar foods. We want to limit the consumption of red and processed meat, sugar sweetened beverages. And it's important for us to understand that a healthy pattern of eating and drinking is really associated with a lower risk of cancer. All right. So when you follow these recommendations, the more you can reduce your risk for developing cancer. So it's important for us to understand that you don't have to be perfect, but the majority of the time when you eat well, it adds incredible value. And just so you know, when it relates to nutrition, the number one cause of death and disability in the entire world is our diet. It is what we feed ourselves throughout the day. It's really important for us to understand that if this is the primary cause of poor health, it also is the single silver bullet. It also becomes the number one solution for us as well. All right, quick story here about Jenna. So Jenna is a friend and coworker, recent coworker of mine, and we worked together for years. And we partner together to brainstorm and support each other and encourage each other. And so I was always planting seeds with her that she should consider just trying a plant-based diet. And then finally she was like, all right, I'll give it a try. And her mom had recently been diagnosed with cancer. So it encouraged her mom, her dad, her sister, her brother-in-law, and her whole family essentially to go and consider and make this shift to a plant-based diet. So I can tell you that all of them lost weight. And her mom felt incredibly good. Her dad got off blood pressure medication, improved his health. But what was really great was that her mom's cancer markers all improved. Now she did use conventional medicine, but she also went through and focused on significant lifestyle changes. Okay, so even if you use conventional medicine to maybe eliminate a tumor or, supplement and do certain chemotherapy or radiation, which keep in mind, I think that they are very invasive. And in my opinion, I think a lot of people die from cancer treatments. And I'm using air quotes here for treatments. A lot of times people die from how invasive and how much risk they carry. But at the same time, everybody should be making an informed decision on what to do or what not to do if and when they ever receive a cancer diagnosis. But I can tell you, this is an incredible story, and this is about 2 years ago now, and they have continued to stay on the journey of improving their health and life and eating a predominantly plant-based diet to really reduce the risk in the future. The number two thing that we're going to talk about here today is being physically active. So I want you to remember this phrase: move more. All right. I didn't say you have to run 10 miles a day or you have to hike a mountain. You have to move more. You need to be physically active. All right. So what we want to do is incorporate things that you like. If you like hiking or biking or gardening, do those things. It's often been said, if you focus on incorporating enjoyable things into your lifestyle, enjoyable exercises into your lifestyle, you are much more likely to continue doing it long term because it's something you enjoy. And if you don't enjoy it, don't do it. Figure out something else. But also keep in mind that sometimes you might say, I'm waiting till I feel like it to do it. Sometimes you will never feel like it. So you have to flip that and say, I'm going to do it so I'll feel like it. I can tell you this, working with thousands of people through the years, oftentimes when people walk in a fitness center or walk in and start their exercise, they typically walk out feeling really thankful and great that they exercised. All right. So remember, there is a positive return on the other side of that exercise. Focus on progression. Start slow. One time I had a participant that could only do 1 minute on an elliptical. And she said, this is terrible. I can only do 1 minute. And I said, here's what we'll do. I said, every day you come in, add a minute. So day 2, she came in and did 2 minutes on the elliptical. Day 3, she did 3 minutes. She continued that for months. One day she came over to me and was so happy and overjoyed and tears in her eyes. And she said, I just did 60 minutes. Months prior, she could only do 1 minute. 1 minute, but that compounding effect and that consistency that she really built into her routine is what was able to help her grow and strengthen. All right. Focus on building social support. Do it with other people. Have fun challenges. I have some people that I've worked with throughout the years, and they always like to do challenges and encourage each other. Let's do this challenge. Let's do that challenge. So figure out how you can challenge yourself and do it with other people, because there's going to be days that you say, oh, the heck with it, I don't want to do it. And there's going to be days that they're going to say that, and you're going to be able to lift each other up and encourage that action. Also focus on the different dimensions of physical fitness. So really focus on flexibility, muscular strength, muscular endurance, cardiorespiratory, as well as having a healthy body composition, which we will talk about next. So being physically active is part of your normal routine. For example, just walking more, sitting less, getting up and moving more is a optimal way to also significantly reduce our risk of cancer. All right, so here's a quick story about Grace. Grace and her husband, Ed, a couple years ago, started the journey. They started eating a full, whole food plant-based diet, and they lost so many they had so many improvements. They lost weight, they lowered cholesterol, triglycerides, and they were sold on the fact that this was a really healthy approach for their health. And so it worked for them, and they continued. And one of the things they did was they got more and more active as a result of feeling better, and they were encouraged to continue, moving more. All right, the last area we're going to talk about today is being a healthy weight. It's important for us to consider that excess body weight, and AICR refers to it as excess body fatness, is essentially an increased risk for many different types of cancer. All right, so eating well and being active ties into your weight. And I would say that the most important thing when it comes to being a healthy weight is your diet. All right, so you cannot fix poor nutrition with more exercise. The way you fix poor nutrition is by improving your nutrition. All right, so what we have to do here is consider a couple things. We need to eat a predominantly plant-based diet, eat more unprocessed plant-based foods. There's a lot of, vegan foods and plant-based foods that are promoted as a healthier alternative. But keep in mind, less bad does not equal good. All right. So we have to be mindful, and you say, all right, well, I'm eating veggie burgers every day. All right. Now, if they are a veggie burger made of lots of veggies and they leave out a lot of the processing and oils, then that might be a really good alternative. It certainly may be much better for you than an all beef or pork burger. But at the end of the day, if you're eating a highly, highly processed plant-based food, doesn't necessarily mean it's healthy. All right. So we need to aim for unprocessed plant-based foods, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and legumes. We also need to be mindful of eating lower calorie, lower fat, nutrient dense foods. So we want to eat lower calorie, high nutrient dense foods. So for example, fruits or vegetables are about 100 calories per pound of food for most vegetables. Fruits are about 200 calories to 300 calories per pound. So you can eat a pound of grapes for about 300 calories. All right. Now, when we think of whole grains and beans and lentils, you're typically looking at about 500 calories per pound of food. All right. Now, let me throw in another example here. If you were to eat nuts, you might be looking at about 15 to 1600 calories per pound of that food. If you were to think of potatoes are about 600 calories per pound. All right. Now, if you fry them and turn them into French fries or potato chips, they get upwards to 2,500 calories per pound. All right. Now, the potatoes aren't the problem. The oil and the processing of that food is the problem. All right. So eat low calorie, lower fat, nutrient dense foods. The average American is eating significantly more fat and protein than they need. Animal protein is devastating for our kidneys and for all over human health. But in America, typically they tell you, consume upwards to 30% of your calories from fat. What I typically recommend, and a lot of lifestyle medicine practitioners and providers recommend, is aiming for around 10% or less of your calories from fat. And if you do that from eating the majority of your foods from unprocessed plant-based foods, it's not hard to get there. All right, make your fat intake count, avoid the oils, avoid the animal fats, and focus more on getting the unhealthy fats from things like nuts the healthy fats from eating nuts and seeds, and getting fat from all the other foods you eat. You might think, all right, well, is there fat in plant-based foods? Absolutely. Now, nuts and seeds are a higher concentration of fat, but even things like other grains and beans and vegetables, they have fats in them as well. All right. We also do need to understand that being physically active and moving more, you're not doing that specifically to lose weight. You're doing that to strengthen your body. You're doing that to improve your energy and your feeling. But oftentimes when you move more, you eat better. All right. Because you're much more conscious about how you're moving, and it inspires you to eat a little bit better. We also need to get enough sleep. We want to aim for 7 to 9 hours of sleep every single day. Again, unhealthy, adequate amounts of sleep can be a domino effect for a bad day. So if you get 3 hours of sleep, it can put you on a whirlwind to the next day. Maybe you're not exercising, you're eating worse, you're emotional, you're stressed, and it can wreak havoc. All right. So what we have to understand is that we do want to keep our weight within healthy ranges. Now, do we have to poke and prod and get on a scale 5 times a day? No. But should you be mindful that excess body fat increases your risk of cancer? Absolutely. It's something we should be mindful of and understand that we don't have to look like we're on the cover of Shape magazine. But at the end of the day, we do need to understand that excess body weight does carry risk. All right. But we need to understand that you can absolutely have health at every size. But when it comes to cancer development, we do need to understand that excess body fat can increase your risk. All right, here's a quick story about Jim. So I started working with Jim a few years ago, and he was ready to make some changes. And that's the key thing. Most of the people I work with, they're typically ready and willing to make some changes. If somebody says, "Oh, I don't want to do anything right now," then I'd say, "All right, well, let me know when you're ready." And I mean that because I don't want to work with somebody who does not want to do the work and commit to it themselves. So Jim has to date lost 70 pounds. And the weight basically just fell off. He naturally shifted to a plant-based diet from coming to, monthly seminars and workshops. And basically from there, he was not only able to lose 70 pounds, but he was able to maintain it. Still to this day, whenever I see him, I ask him, "How are you doing? How are you feeling?" He's like, "I feel incredible. This has just been such a blessing and a gift." And he is able to maintain his weight. That's the key. Doing a quick fad diet, getting a certain amount of pounds off, and then, being like, "Oh, I'm good." But if it's not sustainable and then that weight comes back, it's not ideal. So we need to be mindful of creating a sustainable environment and lifestyle to where we can not only reach and maintain a healthy weight, but do it over the long term. All right. So again, when we talk about sleep, nutrition, movement, stress, relationships, and risky substances, we have to understand, excuse me, that you can live better. We need to make healthy living a priority in our life, and we have to make a commitment to incorporate it into our daily lifestyle. So keep in mind that change is necessary. You have to have the right mindset when it comes to healthy living. You have to understand that you can change. And the quote I always go by is, "Hope is an anchor for the soul." You have to be positive and optimistic about what you do, but your mindset can dictate whether you will be successful or not. So commit to the change and know that it happens over time. There is no such thing as an overnight success. Most people that I've talked to that, have achieved a lot of success, they say, "Yeah, I was an overnight success 30 years in the making." All right. So understand that you just have to focus on what you do day after day. All right. Now, a couple things to wrap up. What would a good 12 months look like for you? Where would you like to be 12 months from now? Do you want to be significantly happier, healthier, feel better, look better, significantly reduce your risk of cancer, heart disease, reverse chronic diseases? Where would you like to be 12 months from now? All right. And then also with that, what three behaviors would you want to improve over the next 90 days? So over the next 3 months, what would you like to do to make some improvements and make some changes in your life? And then once you understand what it is that you want to do, you have to create a plan. You have to create a game plan that's really going to help you get there. And if I can help you and support you in any way, I'd be happy to help kind of get you on a good path and head it in the right direction. Right here. All right. So what I want to ask everybody is, are you next? Are you ready and willing to make some changes? I can tell you this, we have the opportunity to support you in many ways. We have free courses, we have free challenges, we have low cost courses, and we also have group coaching that is available to support you with your journey. So in addition, I just want to let you know that, in February, we will be kicking off a coaching program where we will be kind of diving into 12 weeks, really focusing on creating and implementing healthy lifestyles. So if this is something that you're interested in, email me at liveandleadtoday@gmail.com. And I'd be happy to set up a one-on-one chat just to talk with you about, where you are, where you'd like to go, but um, what we can do to really help you get on a good, positive journey moving forward. All right. So with that being said, thank you everybody for attending. Truly appreciate. This is the final of our 9 seminar Live Better series. And I want to thank everybody for registering, attending, and supporting what it is we are doing with Live and Lead. I truly believe that what we are creating can support and serve so many people. And we are thankful for that opportunity. So keep up the good work. And Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays to everybody. We appreciate you and understand that this is certainly a busy time of the year. So throughout the holidays, just do your best to kind of maintain where you are, enjoy, have some fun, and then come January, if there's anything we can do to support you and help you continually work to becoming the healthiest and best version of yourself, please let us know. We are thankful to serve and ready to support you.